Hello, folks. How are we doing? Can you hear me? Is everyone excited to do some pixel art today? We'll give people a couple minutes to get sorted. But we've already got some people showing up in the chat. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. How are we all doing? Let me know where you're hacking from today. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your Global Hack Week Games is going. It's my first stream. We're already on to the third day by my books, because it starts on a Monday in the UK at 5 p.m. We're on to Wednesday. I'm having a great week. Early morning from Vermont. That must be incredibly early or incredibly late, depending how you look at it. It was my birthday yesterday, so I am now 24. So hyped in the chat for turning 24. But yeah, I have had a great week so far, but I'm even happier now to be here for Global Hack Week Games, showing you all some pixel art. Ooh, amazing. We're going on a tic-tac-toe game in India. 4 a.m. That is incredibly early. And I get up early. I get up at 5 o'clock for the gym. But even that is early by my standards. Well, I'm very glad that you have joined me. Thank you for the birthday messages. Yes, I know, a 24-year-old coach. No longer 23. But no, having a great time. And like I said, even happier to be here at Global Hack Week Games. So we've got a lot to get through today. I hope you are ready. A quick little sort of run through. Oh, thank you for the birthday messages, folks. That's very nice of you all. Birthday Global Hack Week is what it is. So yeah, we're going to be looking at pixel art today. It's something I think is very cool. I've only gotten into it recently, but it is so much fun. I think if you maybe struggled with traditional art mediums like I personally have, it's a really fun and easy sort of way to start sort of expressing yourself. Yeah, it's great fun. There is going to be a break in the middle of this because I know 2 hours is a long old stream, so don't worry, we'll be having a break. But yeah, basically we're going to go over what pixel art is, some art tools, the basics of it, and then we're going to make some art. Now, some quick housekeeping before we get going. First of all, make sure that you've registered and checked in so that MLH knows you're here for Global Hack Week Games. Checking in, making sure, I think I saw Ryan say there's 2 exclusive stickers if you check in to, I think it's at least 5 live events over the week. So make sure that you're logging in and you are registering and checking in for this stream and other streams you go to. The link to that is, I think I added it in the chat earlier if you were already here. But if you go to the Discord, which is quite small, let's make that a bit bigger. If you go to Global Hack Week announcements, the most recent message is from myself and the link is there. So you can just grab that and check in. Also, this is going to be an interactive stream, folks. So if you go to the Global Hack Week section of the Discord, go to the Games Week channel. I have started a Getting Started with Pixel Art thread, and you can share things that you create. You can share things that you're really interested in. Obviously, if it's just messages and things, you can pop them in the chat wherever you're watching. But if you're wanting to share images and things, I've made us a nice little thread where we can share everything we are working on today, and we can show it on stream. You can get a nice shout out, and it'll be a good fun. We will not be coding per se today. We will be sort of creating art, but that leads me on brilliantly to the fact that tomorrow I am running another technical stream on making a game in Pico 8, which is where we will be creating our art today. And hopefully by the end of today, if you join in, you will be creating a set of sprites, which we can then use tomorrow in a sort of Flappy Bird clone style game. If you remember that app, basically you've got the character moving constantly. You just control them going up and down. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we will save your sprites today, and then we can use them in tomorrow's stream, which you should of course register for and check in. But yeah, so that is what we're getting up to today. So no coding today, but we will be making some art. So I thought we'd just start with a bit of discussion on what on earth is pixel art, what makes it different to other art, And what I'm really keen for is if pixel art is something you are interested in, let me just scooch that out of the way. I mean, this isn't pixel art, but it is fantastic art. I think you'll all agree, folks. Yeah, if there's any particular sort of, it's really common for pixel art to be in retro games. So if you either have pixel art that you love, or you can think of some really cool examples from a game you love, grab a PNG or a JPEG, stick it in the Discord. But we got through. I thought I'd just grab some examples because I think a lot of people do think of sort of the old school games, arcade machines, Tamagotchis, things like that, Pokemon, and always think of it specifically around games. But you can also do some amazing art, amazing background art. So these are just a few sort of examples I grabbed just to give you all an idea about what can actually be created. I think, it was always used sort of historically due to the limitations of technology. And we obviously don't have those limitations now necessarily. So we've got some awesome ones. I hope you can see my cursor. I don't think, can you see my cursor? Yes, you can. It's very small. This was actually created following a Bob Ross tutorial, which it's certainly better than any of the art I've created running a Bob Ross mini event. But yeah, I thought that one was particularly impressive. Obviously, they have a massive canvas, lots of tiny, tiny pixels. But yeah, you can create some lovely art. I just typed in animals on this particular pixel art website, found all of these amazing things. I thought this dog was incredibly cute. But again, it's just showing you the variety. You can use really simple shapes, working within the limitations of a smaller canvas, a smaller color range. All these sort of techniques you can use, to make different textures and things. You can go ridiculously detailed with teeny tiny pixels. So yeah, I just thought we'd look through. And then, of course, as everybody sort of recognizes it, your old retro games. So we've got the original Mario Bros over here. We've got one of the Pokemons. I'm not sure which one that might be. Definitely an older one. And then we have a more modern game, which you might have heard of, called Celeste, which I highly, if you like difficult platformers, play Celeste. But yeah, this is a really recent game, but they've gone with a pixel art style. Obviously, again, because we haven't got the same tech limitations. Oh yeah, love for Celeste in the chat. I was terrible at it. I constantly needed the cheat code things, but yeah, amazing, beautiful game. But using pixel art, obviously they can get away with a lot more detail. But yeah, it's just amazing. I think it is great. There's all sorts of different styles you can go for. Yeah, there's all different techniques. And I think it just goes to show that, I think a lot of people think of this sort of classic, sort of sharp-edged, sort of low poly, low detail, but you can do all sorts with pixel art and you can really find your own style within it. And I think that's what's really great about it. And you can also use it for games. So these are all sort of the cover art, if you will, of games made with this tool called Pico 8. It is, I'll explain this more in tomorrow's stream when I'm using it to code, but it's basically like a game engine for creating kind of modern versions of old retro games. So they call it a fantasy retro console. So it's sort of self-imposed limitations, but it means you can run it really easily on really basic hardware, which means you can make, sort of modern limited retro consoles, stick it on, in a Game Boy or something like that. A Raspberry Pi Zero could easily run Pico 8. And yeah, these were all made with some very specific limitations. So the size, the max canvas size is limited in Pico 8, but also the palette. And when I show you the palette, you'll probably think you can make all of that through this, but it's using all these different techniques that you can do this. So obviously this, piano one has gone for a really limited palette, even within that. We've got dark, mysterious games. We've got really bright ones with a nice sky blue. But yeah, this is just sort of showing you what you can create within this. And yeah, there's so much to explore. Oh, I got a guess that was Pokemon Fire Red. I think you might be right. See, my first Pokemon was Diamond. But they had Pearl. Oh, we've got some awesome pixel art in the thread as well. Who's this by? Why can't I see? Oh, it's by Big Bad Wolf. Cool. Is this stuff you created? If it is, that's amazing. And even if it isn't, whoever did create it, it's amazing. But it'd be particularly cool if that was something you've made. That's awesome. I'm assuming this is a little Bahaj, which I love. But yeah, if you've got any examples, folks, stick them in and we'll keep checking the Discord. And if we go a while without checking it, just prod me in the chat. But without any further ado, I think we should actually get on to what we're working on. So, keep saying peek away. What on earth am I talking about? Now, until recently, you had to pay for Pico 8, which is sad, but also fair. But they have recently released an educational license and, most importantly, a free browser-based version. So I have popped it in the chat, so you can click on it. Otherwise, I've got it on a banner. But when you load it, you'll think, what's happening? There's nothing there. You press the play button. It plays a little cute noise. And this is Pico 8. So you can see what we're working with. You know, we've got sort of command line looking, pixely text. But this is the wonderful world of Pico 8. Now, by all means, you can choose to go and pay for the full version and download it and things for your computer. But the one we will be using today is this free browser-based version that has everything you'll need to follow this and tomorrow's stream. So you do not need to stress about buying anything. Nice and free in your browser, and it's exactly the one I will be using. So let me make sure I've got the comments back up. There we go. So you started off on this command line, and you can do all sorts of things in the command line. You can type commands. It's Linux based, so you can do all sorts of things. You can get into your directory. You can tell things. But we're not going to be doing that today. So once you have started, in fact, I'll reboot just to show you all again. So you're here on the command line, you press that play button. All you need to do is hit escape and you will get into the editing area. So escape just moves you between the command line and the editor. And then there's all sorts once we are here. So we've got, this is the code area. So if we were wanting to do something, oh, there we go. Print hello world, classic, can't start anything without that in the world of programming. This is the code editor, but like I said earlier, we're not coding today. We are going to be using this. This is the sprite editor. But just to show you the rest, in case you're intrigued, there is also a map editor. So if you're making sort of a pixel art tile map, which is beyond the scope of today's stream, but it uses the sprites you've created. That's really cool for making retro style games. This is a special effects editor, so you can make different sound effects for your game. And this is a music editor, and it's also got the tracker mode. So if you wanted to make full sort of what's the music style called? I think it's called BitTune. But yeah, if you want to make sort of background music for your game, you can do all of this within Pico 8, which makes it really cool for sort of an all-in-one retro style development area. Hello, welcome to the stream. We are looking at making pixel art with something called Pico 8. It's great. You should join in. But this is where we're working today. So the sprite editor, the second one in. So again, when you start, you'll see the command line. You press escape. You get to the editors, and then you're going over to this little dude over here for the sprite editor. Now, again, there are loads of tools in this, but this is just our getting started with pixel art stream. So we are just going to be using some basic tools that we're going to run over now. So yeah, there's, again, so much to explore if this is something you're really interested in. But today we are just sticking with these sort of regular tools. The first thing I'll point out is this is your color palette. You'll see there are only 16 colors. So again, people would think, this is extremely limited. Normally, you open Paint even, you can get any color you want. I have a habit, and I'm known for using, what's it called? PowerPoint as a graphic design app. Again, you can access any color. But remember, all of these games here, all of these images here were made with just those 16 individual colors, so you do not need to worry. You can be very creative. looking at just this limited 16 colour, and we'll talk about some techniques for that later. And then most importantly, we have our tools. So again, if you're used to using paint or other sort of basic art, we have some very common tools. So you've got a draw tool, pretty basic. It's like your pencil tool. And all your regular shortcuts work. So Control Z, C, Z and V, all that work. So yeah, within Pico 8, it just works. You don't need to do anything messing with your peripherals. So we've got our pen tool, lovely. Now we have a stamp tool. We'll move on to the next one and then come back to this because it's a bit interesting. But basically, you stamp from your clipboard because the paste is a bit funny on the sprite editor. So say I'm wanting to make MLH. How we're going to make an M? That doesn't look like. Does that look like an M, folks? We're going to pretend that looks like an M. Do you know what? It would look more like an M, like that, wouldn't it? There we go. So say I've made this M, but I want to move it. I've got my select tool. So I've drawn it with my pen tool. I've got my select tool. I've selected it. I can then copy it. So you're seeing on the bottom, it says copy the pixels. I just did that with Control C. If I then now wanted to pop the M's everywhere, if I open my stamp, it's now made the same shape that I just selected. And I've basically made a stamp of this MLH. So again, a lot of pixel art is sort of repeated patterns to save you, if you're making a massive canvas on Pico 8, you can just make a small section and stamp over everywhere. But we don't need to do that today. There is a pan tool. So the way that, again, sort of retro consoles work is that you sort of access all the memory at once. So although we are viewing individual sprites here, you've got to kind of think of it as one large piece of storage, and then you're accessing only a small part of it at once. So if I were to go in here and draw some, that's not what I wanted to do. Pan back down. But yeah, if I draw something here, go back over there with the pan tool, I can end up over here in this area of the image because it's all basically one memory store. So we've got our different sprites. We have a fill tool, like any other fill tool you've ever used. Fills in an area. And then we have our shape tool, which is one of my favorites. So it comes with a circle tool, it comes with a square tool, and it comes with, it comes with a line tool. So there's sort of rules in pixel art that if you're wanting to draw sort of a smooth line, you should have the same number of pixels going. Or it can sort of work things out for you to try and make more of a curve. So the line tool can be great if you're wanting to do that. But that is pretty much the basics of this sort of pixel art. Let's have a look. We've got all these other things. So this is a little preview tile. So obviously here it's sort of blown up really large scale, but this is just 8 bits. So you can use the space down here to just look and see, okay, this is actually where it would look like from afar or on a whole screen. So that gives you perspective while you're working. This is the size of whatever tool you're using. So we can have a really massive pen or a really tiny pen. It also works if you're using these tools, you'll get a thicker outline. So you can do that with all the different tools. You can get a thicker line. What tool are you using? Sorry, we've got people joining late. I will try to check the chat more often. We are using Pico 8. We are using the free browser-based education version of it. So nobody needs to purchase anything today. We are all about that free browser-based tools. But yeah, I got rid of the banner. We are using Pico 8 education version. When you open it, in fact, I'll just refresh to show you all. Leave page. When you start it, it'll have a little play button. You press that. open it up, you'll end up on this command line where you can type and do things. But instead today, we're just going to hit escape. When you hit the escape key, you will turn up in the editor. At any point, you can use the escape key to switch between them. And then there are lots of tools within this for making sort of retro style games, but we are just using the sprite tool today, which is this little alien looking guy. A second one in. This is what we are using today. I hope that helps. But yeah, you've not missed anything. We've just sort of been chatting through pixel art that we like. And there is a little thread in Discord if anyone wants to share things they work on today. But yeah, this is what we're using, and we're just going over the tools, but you'll see them as I'm using them regardless. Yes, so we were just talking about the fact that the pen tool, well, all the tools have a slider, and then another very cool thing, we'll just pop them out, is you can change the canvas size. And like I was talking about with the pen tool, you can use this to get a larger canvas. So suddenly now you'll see that that smallest level on our slider looks even smaller because we've now got a larger canvas. The thing with this is it does mean that, you know, if you're moving around, you need to make sure your art isn't overlapping. But we will be working for today, for most of today, or at least the first half of this stream, with the sort of second level canvas. So what we've got is we've got a 16 by 16 because we've got two of those 8-bit grids. Can I repeat what Pico 8 is? Of course I can. So Pico 8, in fact, I will get the creator's definition up because that's even better than anything I could come up with. So yeah, it is a fantasy console. So what they mean by this is it looks like a console. So if you had, you know, an old school NES or SNES, you know, old school sort of original Game Boys and things like that, they're all retro consoles. I'm sure you all sort of are aware that there is a massive sort of community of people that love retro consoles and retro gaming. But this is one that was being completely created in modern times with modern technology by some amazing people. You can just run it on Windows, Mac, and Linux, which means not only can you run it on your own computer, but you can stick it on a Raspberry Pi or other sort of mini computers as well, because it's really, really small. But it's made to sort of emulate, like I said, sort of old school retro consoles, but with modern technology that you can put on modern processors and things like that. And you can create all sorts of amazing games on it. And it's sort of just an all-in-one system. A lot of people stick it on like a really old laptop or netbook and have that literally as like the only thing and whatever operating system it came with. But yeah, you don't need to buy it for today. We are using the free education version that works in the browser, but you can buy a license and run it locally. It's got all sorts of cool tools, and then you can share games or anything you've made. A lot of people make sort of animations that run. You share them on carts. It's all sort of free, and then yeah, you just stick it on some exactly unused netbooks, microcomputers. You can turn into Pico 8 things. So yeah, it's a very cool. All sorts of games and things people have made on it, from sort of animations and just cool art to sort of full-on games. And interestingly, for some of you, the people that said they liked Celeste when I was showing that earlier, the creators of Celeste created a Pico 8 version of the game, and it is hidden within one of the levels of the actual Celeste game, like on console and PC. But they've created it and you can play it on for free as well. Does this console also use to run the Chrome Diner game or any other console use? Does the console also use in Chrome? So I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but you can run it in your browser, like I said, with the using this. You can't. It isn't actual physical hardware. You can't go out and buy a Pico 8 in the way that you can go out and buy Nintendo Entertainment System. So you can't run like other games. Like you couldn't run Chrome Dino the way that it is like created in Chrome, but you could create your own Dino game. And I'm sure somebody already has. But yeah, you can do anything like that. It's really cool. And we are going to be using it today to make some pixel art. But if you join my stream tomorrow, we'll be using our pixel art and Pico 8 to make a full game, a Flappy Bird clone. So, yeah, Pico 8 version. I'm assuming we're talking about Celeste or possibly the Dino game. But yeah, it's awesome. So, yeah, like I said, we've got all sorts of pixel art. You can create really massive, detailed pixel artwork. But for this part of today's stream, we are going to be looking at specifically a 16 by 16 canvas limitation. So we aren't going to be creating, something like this, where obviously that is a massive canvas. For now, we are going to work on a 16 by 16. So if you're wanting to join in, I'll go through the process of opening this up again so that everyone can join in. So if you go to the link, in fact, I'll stick it back on the screen. If you go to the pico-8-edu, press that play button in the center, you will open Pico 8, hit the escape key if you're actually on the screen, hit the escape key, click on this little creature, to get to the sprite editor, and you will be in where we need to be. And then if you get this one, which has got the sort of little, it's like the little crop tool in basically any software ever. And we're just going to slide it to this second level. You've now got your sort of 18 by 18 canvas for us to use today. And obviously there is no eraser tool. You might have realized that. But that's because there's such limited colors. One, you're not going to have sort of a transparent background anyway to sort of erase to that. And then if there's another color, you might as well just grab the color and go back over it. Of course, you can always undo as well if you've just done something. So, yeah, so we are going with limitations in canvas size and with our, what am I trying to say, folks? Palette, that's the word. The word palette always skips my brain. I think it's a strange word to spell as well. So yeah, we've got our 16 colours and a 16 by 16 canvas. So I thought what we could do today, and I have fully stolen this idea from a very good creator called Soul Tunes. I'll have a link to all of his things later on. But we are going to open a donut shop. So we are going to learn to use our pixel art skills by opening a donut shop. And in fact, if I still got it loaded, yes. You will not have this, but I do. So hopefully, there we go. So we are going to go through making some donuts. So just to give you an idea of what we'll be creating today and some skills we'll be going over. These are my lovely donuts I created, Blue Peter style for any UK viewers. Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. But I'm going to go through all of this and show you how we can create this. Now, you do not need to copy exactly what I'm doing. This is your art. This is your stream to learn this. So you can use different colours and different techniques and go for different designs throughout. This is meant to be inspiration and you all having a go rather than sort of everyone just sitting and copying mine exactly. And as you are going today, please do share your art with me in the Getting Started with Pixel Art thread. For those that missed it at the start of the stream, if you go to the Discord, go to the Global Hack Week channels, go into the Games Week channel, and then you can either go to the most recent message to find it, the Getting Started with Pixel Art thread, but then once you've opened it and put a message in, you can just grab it and it'll go sort of full screen for you. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I love about pixel art and about Pico 8 is how restricted it is. Often people like artists, that actually adding restrictions can sometimes make your art better. You've got to think creatively about how you're going to solve a problem, like representing a donut on a screen. So I'm just going to get rid of that banner because it's a bit big on the screen. So yes, we are going to get started very simply with our line tool. And now I think this sort of colour looks kind of like a donut, but I guess that you can use any colour you like. Obviously, I think if you're going to plan to use the darker tones, you may first of all want to go and change your background to white. But for now, I'm going to stick with the black background, and I'm going to go for this sort of bready, donutty colour. So I've got to remember to set my canvas size to this second level, the 16 by 16, and then just start figuring it out, folks. Just start drawing. And your first one is not going to look great. That obviously does not look much like a donut. But we can sort of slowly go through this, and I'm going to explain as I'm drawing mine what I'm thinking about and how I might make this the more sort of donut shape. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go with, in fact, actually, one point I will ask you to copy me on. Just go with me on this. Because we are going to be copying our donuts throughout, make sure that you are leaving a 1 pixel border around the outside, because this will be important for a later step. So don't go all the way to the edges. Okay, folks, if you can try and make sure that you're leaving that 1 pixel border, that would be amazing. But other than that, first go, I would just draw a shape vaguely like a donut. Okay, you can go for a full sort of round if you like, but often sort of the shading, if you're going for that top down view, you're probably not going to end up seeing the outside once we've iced the donut. If you think about if you look top down on the donut that was iced, you wouldn't really see the outline. So you can go for that if you like, but I think it'll look, back on my line tool, better if you've sort of got this side view. Okay, so this is my first one, and I'm thinking, first of all, donuts don't have little elbows sticking out. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of that elbow. Okay, the next thing that I find really helps when you're creating sort of pixel art for a specific item is to work by sort of creating a silhouette. So the next thing I will always want to do is fill it in. I think it just lets you see it better. You can sort of step back and see it better. I also spend a lot of time looking at sort of this bottom half of the screen, looking at it zoomed out, because sometimes, you can think something looks really obvious when it's sort of blown up large like this, but looking down, you can actually see, oh, it's a lot better when it's zoomed out. So this is my first one. So I don't think this is that bad of a donut shape, to be perfectly honest with you folks. But there are some particular things that I would think would make this look a bit better. The first thing is, if you look here, there's this sort of right angle, okay? Now, in pixel art, this is called a double, okay? So a double is anytime you get this right angle, and you're probably thinking, Amy, these are all square pixels. They all have right angles, but it means with relation to 2 pixels. So if we just go over here for a second, it would mean this sort of shape, okay? Now, the thing with pixel art is we don't really need to do that because we are using square pixels. So if this was, a regular square, it looks like a regular square. If I'm wanting to sort of draw something curved, it sort of just looks a bit sharp. So you can really change the way that pixel art looks by getting rid of those sort of right angle corners and instead creating more of a gradient. It just makes them look a bit more interesting. And a lot of what you will often draw in pixel art and just in the world is sort of rounded. So you kind of often want to make sure you don't have these sharp corners. Or if you do, you want to use them intentionally. So if I were to draw, a treasure, why can't I say that? Treasure. Oh my goodness. A chest full of treasure. Why is that easier to say? if I were to just draw a straight up rectangle, yes, it might look like a treasure chest, but it just looks a bit harsh. It doesn't look as soft and as rounded as it could be, particularly when we're looking at this sort of bottom section. Literally just taking those two doubles out makes it look rounded, gives it that shape. It's so simple. It's literally just 2 pixels we've removed, but it just makes it look softer. It makes it look rounded, and then, you know, you would add in some cool little leather straps or something. Maybe it's a little padlock of some sort. But yeah, just adding and removing those pixels, you know, that now it looks like a flat briefcase or a letter or something. Just removing those 2 pixels makes it look more rounded. And seeing as though donuts tend to be round, I'm sure you'll all agree, it would be a good idea for me to remove that particular round, sort of double edge. But like I said, with pixel art, you can use it. These aren't sort of rules, and that for it to class as pixel art, you can't use doubles. But it's something you should be aware of, and you should be using intentionally when you're doing it. Okay. So because again, yeah, if I added in lots of extra doubles, it wouldn't look like a donut. It would just look like some, I don't know, a weird slice of bread. So we are getting rid of those doubles. And my blind is breaking. The next sort of common term in pixel art that we're going to talk about is something called a jaggy, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's anything that is jagged. It can give a jagged, crooked look to things you are creating. So if I was wanting, and this is really obvious when we use something like the line tool, okay? So this is a nice, even line. So we're going along one, up one the whole way. If instead I were, in fact, I need this tool, not the line tool. If I were to go like that with my line, that looks a lot more jagged, a lot more crooked, okay? Because we're not sort of going in even intervals. Again, it depends what you're wanting to draw. If you're wanting to draw sort of a rocky outreach, you might want that to look really jagged. So you might want to deliberately use sort of different amounts going up. But again, for today with our donut, most donuts tend to be quite smooth and not jagged. So a good thing to look at with making a donut is to be using sort of the same sort of intervals going up. Now, obviously, we have edges to the donut, so we've got a long edge here and a long edge here. But on sort of the sides, if you will, of this donut, you can see here I've gone 1, 1. Do I really want this set of 2? We're on the wrong size pixel. So I might choose to come in and add some extra pixels in just to make that a bit smoother. Now I added 2 pixels in there if I undo them. I'm not sure that necessarily gets the shape I'm looking for because I've then got a really long line. So what I might want to do is just add 1. Or I might want to extend that side down. You know, you can play about with them, use your undo keys, just change your colours. For me today, you know, I think I'm just going to stick with this. So I don't mind if it's a little jagged, if it's a little crooked. Remember, again, we are working with pixel art. It is limited. Things aren't going to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. I just feel like this might look a bit better. You know, that looks a bit squished, whereas I think we get that more rounded shape going around like that. But yeah, having the sort of really extreme 3 along, because if you look, we've got 1, 2, 3, looks a bit too much for me. So we'll get that little 2 along. And we've got the same elsewhere. We've got another 2 there, so it's kind of reflecting it as well, which is quite nice. Got a bit of symmetry going on. And then the last thing we need is a little donut hole. So again, I am on this one, I'm going to choose to use doubles. I want the donut center to be really clear. And I think if I was to just use a non-doubled, a single line of pixels. Oops, we're zooming in and out. I'm not sure that that's as clear that you've got a full cutout, so much as it just looks like, I don't know, I've dropped some dark chocolate on it or something like that. So here, I actually am going to choose to not only use some jaggeds, but use these doubles. So again, if we were getting rid of those doubles, like I did with the corners, it would look like this. I think it's actually a bit bolder and a lot more clear, again, because we're working with such a small area, to now this time use those doubles to make a really clear, bold line so that we can see it. So hopefully, if you haven't already, I encourage you now to create your sort of basic donut shape. Remember, if you can, leaving that outline. And if you're wanting to, share a little screenshot of it with me in the chat, in the thread, rather. But let me know how you're going on. Am I going too quick or too slow? This is the first time that I've run a workshop on pixel art specifically. So let me know in the chat how you're finding this, how it's going. Am I going too quick? Am I going too slow? Are you following? And yeah, stick your art into the thread on Discord as well. But yeah, if you've got your cute little donut, we'll give you another second or two. But yeah, let me know if people have created a donut, if you're following along. Let me know by sharing it in the thread, or let me know by letting me know in the chat. But assuming that people that are wanting to have created a donut, the next thing we are going to do is, like I've been doing on these bottom rows, is we are going to duplicate our donut. Now we're going to go for the whole sort of 16 by 16 area, just so that if you've got different background colors and things, everyone is making sure they're copying everything. So you want your select tool, so you probably were on your line tool. You want to use your select tool, go to that very top corner, select the whole thing, do your Control C to copy it. You then need to click in that top left of the next area. If you click in sort of the center, you might end up picking up sort of a different area of the screen. So make sure you're in the top left. When you look at it, it's the right sort of area. Hit our stamp tool. And again, we need to go top left. Everything based in Pico 8 is sort of one based arrays. I mean, top left focused. You'll see we've got the outline. Once you actually get to that top left, the outline sort of disappears off the screen, but it will be there. And the easiest way to check is if you look at the bottom of the screen, the coordinates say 16, x16, y0. So that's exactly where we want it. And you're going to hit that stamp tool and it will appear. So we'll do that again. You're on where you've created your donut already. You go to the select tool, drag it over, do Control C, boop over to the next canvas area. Make sure you've lined up in the top, so you've got x equals 16, y equals 0, and boop your stamp. Brilliant. Thank you for joining so far. Definitely you can catch up on the stream. They're all recorded and left on YouTube. So definitely join in. But thank you for joining me, and thank you for the happy birthday. Much appreciated. Have a good night's rest. So we're on to our donut. We've created our donut. We put it in the fryer. It's all sorted. It's come out looking lovely. We're now going to add some icing. Have we got any in the Discord? Nope. We're going to add some icing to it. So you can choose whatever color icing you like. For this example, I'm going to go with a chocolate icing, but you can choose anything you like. So again, we're just going to get working. Now, your first thought might be, do you know what? I just want a straight line icing, nice, half covering the donut. So you could just stick a line in the bottom, grab our fill tool, color in the top half. Sorry, I've just realized we've got a comment saying, can you drop the channel name again for dropping your work? Of course I can. So if you are in the MLH Discord, you need to scroll down to find the Global Hack Week channels, specifically get to the Games Week channel, and then still the most recent message is me starting this thread. So click on the Getting Started with Pixel Art, and it will open once you've sent a message, or I think even just maybe it's reacted to a message, but definitely once you've sent one, you'll be able to see it in the side, or you can always click that top just to open it on your full screen on Discord. But yeah, just so that we're not clogging up the whole channel, made a nice little thread for everyone. So we've got our basic donut. Now we're going to ice it. And yeah, folks, keep popping questions in chat. I'll try and remember to look at it all. This really, you can do whatever you like with it. It depends how much icing you would want in a donut. This one, again, it doesn't matter as much. So you want to stick to the outline of your donut. The icing can't magically float on donut that isn't there. But this is a pretty nice, simple step. Add your icing. You can choose any color. You can go wacky. You can decide you've got a blue raspberry donut. Or, I don't know, a broccoli flavored icing donut. But like I said, I'm going to stick with a nice sort of rich chocolate color. There really aren't any sort of rules on this one. You can just sort of do whatever you fancy. But yeah, I'll give you all a second to experiment. Drawing again, you could, if you want, ice the whole entire donut. You might want to go wild and just have a full iced donut. That is your choice. But like I said, I'm going to stick with a mostly iced chocolate donut. In fact, I don't know if you all have Krispy Kremes near you. Their Nutella donut is amazing. So I might pretend that this is actually a Krispy Kreme Nutella donut. Obviously, other brands of donut are available. But yeah, you can experiment with covering more, covering less. But assuming we are all good with that, and again, you've got time to work on this, so do not worry. But yeah, share any art if you've got it in the channel. But we're going to move on to the next part. Adding some decoration. Now, again, there's all sorts of things. Why it tastes. Do you know what? I actually have a theory on this. This is such a detour, but we're going to go with it. Why do donut holes taste tastier? I think it's because if you've had the same weight of actually just a donut, I realize I'm showing your hands on my desk and you can't see them. A donut or little donut holes, and say they're covered in powdered sugar, you're going to get more sugar because there's going to be a greater surface area. It's why somewhere like McDonald's or French fries became a thing, and why they're so sort of moreish is because you've got a greater surface area to either go crispy or to go get covered in salt in the case of French fries, or get covered in sugar in the case of donut holes. So there you go, bit of science for you in the middle of our pixel art stream. Hopefully that amazing tangent has given you enough time to ice your donuts. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We are going to select our donut. We're going to hit Control-C to copy it. We're going to go in the top left of the next section. We are going to hit our stamp tool. We're going to pop it in the top left, making sure that the Y is 0 and X is 32. This time, click. And we've now carried over our now iced donut. Now this time, I think you can decorate however you like. Commonly, I think, are sprinkles or a nice sort of chocolate drizzle or a glazed drizzle. Now, the thing, again, with our pixels, another bit of pixel art terminology with our sprinkles, rather, you can have something called an orphan pixel. So an orphan pixel is a single pixel by itself. And they can be really useful. If we go back, in fact, to this piece over here, this panda, hopefully you can see, on this one, the tiny orphan pixels sort of soften out the shading that they've done. On this piece with the lions, again, they've used a limited canvas size, particularly with the moon. They're limited within this. If they had used all sort of double pixels or had avoided using orphan pixels, they wouldn't have had the space. It wouldn't have had sort of the majority of the space of the moon being that base color. So again, this isn't a sort of correct or incorrect. Oops, let me stick the slideshow back on. There we go. This isn't the case of being correct or incorrect. But since we're using quite a big canvas size, and since our donut's quite large, you can sort of get away with having sort of double pixels, or just not using orphans for the sprinkles. And also, if you think about it, sprinkles, I don't know, at least in the UK, tend to be sort of like longer shapes, sort of mini Tic Tacs. Hundreds and thousands, I think, are what we used to call them in the UK, but we've adopted the American sprinkles. But yeah, so you can have a go experimenting. You might want to use one color using tiny sprinkles and one being, I don't know why I've gone for a Christmas theme, clearly. So yeah, you might want to say that you've got different size sprinkles or something like that. Edible glitter, something like that. But again, it's just all about being sort of intentional with what you want to create. And then the other thing, I'm going to go with a white chocolate drizzle on mine. And then again, we're going to be looking at, apparently, my favorite thing to talk about, the use of doubles. So if I might think, well, it's a thin drizzle, I would just want to use, I don't want to use any doubles. And you can see this on the bottom here. So it looks nice, I've got a nice, clean, thin, crisp line of icing, which looks good. I'm happy with that. I can imagine really liking that. But then you can also experiment. I can look into making all of these into doubles. Now that's looking like a much more rich, thick icing. Again, there isn't a right or a wrong with this. It's just preference. And again, looking at the bottom down here on my screen, you can see the comparison. They just have different looks. If you want that more sort of crisp, clean, thin icing, you would go without the doubles. If you wanted that sort of thicker, maybe the royal icing. I'm not sure you would use royal icing on a donut. Do you know who you could ask? You could ask John Gottfried, co-founder and CEO of MLH, because he is on the Great American Baking Show. So he probably knows if you could use royal icing on a donut or not. I think more is more when it comes to donuts. So I'm going to go with the nice, sort of thick, luxurious drizzle icing on mine. But yeah, you can go for whatever you like with your donut. Do not stress. And so hopefully you've either added some sprinkles, you've added some extra icing, something like that, to make your donut a bit more decorative. It's up to you. But again, we are going to select it with the select tool, hit Control-C to copy. We're going to jump over to the next section, making sure that we are still on our 16 by 16 canvas. We're going to hit our stamp tool, go at the top left, stamp our donut to get our last bit. And now these are the last couple of things we're going to go over, sort of on how to embellish a donut or whatever for today. So these are looking at some outlines. Okay, so if you wanted to add outlines to your work. So far, our donuts don't have any outlines. Again, this is just a style choice. It might make sense if you're making sort of a platforming game. You might want to not use any outlines in your background, but you might want to add a strong outline to your character, possibly to enemies, or any sort of interactive platforms, so that it's really clear to the player what they can interact with and what they can't. So again, we're just looking at style choice. Now that's not going to work, is it? Let's have a look. So if I add a pink background, say, to this, okay, we can then, and this is why I got you to leave that space, we can add an outline. Now, obviously, if you've avoided using doubles earlier in your outline on the first level, you want to avoid using doubles on this outline if you want it to look the same. So that would just be a nice simple outline. We could add the doubles in to make a really thick outline, which on something at this scale might not be what we want, but it could be. Again, it's just sort of a different look to it. So this would be sort of a single outline. This is a nice double outline. Again, single line, double line, single outline, double outline, just referring to the use of doubles. You can do whatever you like with that though. Now obviously my examples down here, I actually extended the donut hole center so that I could actually have so that, hold on, I've done this a little bit incorrectly. Again, yeah, so yeah, not using jaggeds if you're not wanting them here, and doubles, but it means that you can sort of have this center outline, because that's another thing you would need to remember. In fact, it's going to be easier if I show you on this one. If I didn't outline the center, it might look a bit strange. So if you're going to outline something and it's got a center missing, you would need to remember to outline that as well. So yeah, this can add a really strong outline. So you can imagine if this was then on quite a busy, detailed background, the outline is going to help it stand out. Another really interesting thing you can do is you could use a colored outline. So you're sort of still adding that depth to the shape, to the texture of the piece, but instead of being a harsh black outline, you could add a colored one. So often you would go for a color that is similar to the sort of area it's outlining. You could always inverse these as well. I'm going to have to use different colors for this. But I went for sort of a darker outline on a lighter fill color, but you could always do the opposite. And again, these just have different effects. What app is this? This is Pico 8, the free educational browser version. I'll pop it on the screen. But yeah, again, it's all what you want to do with it. So yeah, I thought a nice pink icing with that sort of deeper purple outline. I'm not sure what I just undid. Looks nice and crisp. But like I said, this is your donut shop, your donut creation. You can do whatever it is you like with it. Now we are halfway through, and we've covered a few outline styles. I'm going to do a quick recap. We've already looked through that. Yep, so we've been having a go. So yes, hopefully this has all made sense. Let me know if you've been able to follow this, how it's going. Again, this is my first time teaching pixel art rather than something sort of particularly technical. But we are going to take a sort of 10-minute break now. So I encourage you to go through now and make, make your own sort of mega donut. So if you've been following along, have another go, make one that's sort of your ultimate donut. You could do anything you want with it, and then we'll spend the break doing that. Obviously stretch your legs, grab a drink. I'm going to do that, and then in 10 minutes time when we come back, if you share your sort of a screenshot of your ultimate donut in the thread, we'll look through them on the stream, we'll have a chat about them. But just on the case of outlines, there's loads we could have gone through. This is this guy again, Saltoons. There's all sorts using different light sources, coloured outlines, using it to show a particular area, not using an outline. Like I said, there's so much that you can go into and learn about pixel art, but we're just sort of doing this entry-level basics today. So like I said, challenge time. Make the ultimate donut. You can do anything you like in this time. You might want to go for a smaller canvas. So obviously here we'll be using 16 by 16. You might want to go up to a 32 by 32 or even larger. You might want to go down to an 8 by 8 where, you know, really at this point, every single pixel counts for something. You can go all the way to the outsides now as well. No restrictions on that. You could go for some really wacky, crazy colors. You could use doubles and jackies. You could choose not to. You could use 1-bit or 2-bit. Now, strangely, 1-bit means using 2 colors. because you get the 1 or the 0. So you could really limit yourself and be like, how can I design a donut using just 2 colours? It doesn't have to be black and white. It could be that you want to use the pink and this sort of maroony colour. You could do the same for sort of a 2-bit. You could use every single colour and try to make every single colour work in one donut. Anything you like, but I will leave this challenge up on the screen. I will leave. Can you make a massive burger? Absolutely. Make a massive burger. Go wild. This is the sort of time for you to figure something out, try out the different techniques and tools that I have shown you. If you sort of used up a lot of the canvases as well, these numbers are different pages. So if you now wanted to create a big 32 by 32 canvas, you can do that, but do just watch out for the fact that the canvases sort of expand and overlap each other, but you'll see that when you start working anyway. But yeah, if you wanted to find an easy way for more space, you've got pages. Someone's leaving to go do an exam. Good luck with it. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. But yes, I am going to go make a cup of tea, grab some birthday cake. You've got 10 minutes to make your ultimate burger or donut or whatever you want to make. Okay, folks? And I will see you back in 10 minutes. Let me put the challenge back on the screen. So yeah, good luck. And then yeah, once you're done, either share the donuts you've worked on whilst we've been going in the thread and Discord, or your ultimate one. But yes, I'm going to go grab a drink. So enjoy, and I'll see you back in about 10 minutes. Hello, folks. I am back with birthday cake. The joys of living at home with your parents and said parents making you birthday cakes, even when you're turning 24. So hopefully you've all had a go at creating either your ultimate donut or an awesome burger. That is amazing. I love it. What do you mean, what an L of a burger? I think it is great. You've added what's it called? Highlights. You've added sort of the sesame seed, you've added cheese, the burger, the lettuce. Amazing. I think that is great. So anyone else that has created either they've just followed along following the donut sort of tutorial, I guess, that I had created, or if you've created an ultimate donut or something else. Amazing. Another big. I love that we've just gone with burgers. This is fab. This is amazing. So yeah, share in, and again, if you've missed it, go to the Discord, go to the Games Week channel. Sorry, the cake has melted my brain. And then go to the Get Started with Pixel Art thread. You'll find it in the channel, but once you've clicked on it, you should get it as sort of a full option. That's easier to find. But yeah, well done. I just love that we've hijacked it and gone for burgers. I actually had burgers last night for my tea. But yeah, I love that we've gone for like a no outline version with the first one. We've gone for outlining everything on the second one. It's amazing. Kawaii burger, while mine says burger. Love it. We will. Oh, have you got a pixel art as your proof? Oh no, it just looked like it because it was so little. But yeah, amazing. I'm so impressed. Well done, folks. I would not have created that my first time. So we're running a little bit behind, so we're going to have to sort of speed run, if you will, through the rest. But yeah, keep adding them if you've made them. We'll have another look in a second if you've made something to show off. Keep it in the chat. But if not, we will be moving on to looking at some sprite designs. So, where is it? Oh, boop, 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 boop. So yes, like I said earlier, in fact, I'm just going to reboot this so that I now have a nice clear look. Fabulous. Oh, quick things. Don't reboot if you're here. Hold on. If I just very quickly draw nothing. If you do want to save this, you can. If you just type in, so you're hitting escape to get back to the command line. And if you just type in save and then add a space and then whatever you want to call it. You might want to call it donut. The one thing you need to know about Pico 8 is it types in capitals for you. So if I gave that a capital, like, hold on, it's not working. Like if you hit the basically all the capital versions of letters are saved for other things. So you just type in all lowercase and it makes it all uppercase. It might be a bit confusing, but you will get used to it, I promise. But yes, if you save it, it will actually save a P8 file for you. And then if you're sort of, if you don't clear like your browser cache and things like that, they stay. But otherwise, what you can just do is you can click and drag a file in and it'll load if you're using the web version. But like I said, I don't want to do that right now. What I do want to load, however, is, and yeah, if you can see the files, then you can just type load. So, like I mentioned before, in fact, why have I still got the break signed up? Got any last ones? No. So tomorrow's stream, I will be showing you how to make a game. If you join me, I recommend you do. And as part of that, we need some sprites. So here's what I made earlier version. I called it Jelly Jump. But it's a Flappy Bird style game, and these are the sprites I designed. So I'll just quickly show you what it looks like. And I forgot how to play. So yeah, this is the game we'll be making. So it's your Flappy Bird style. So I'm just using the up arrow key to jump, and every time I jump, the sprite changes, and then when you die, there's a sort of sad, angry red one. And then there we go, clear screen, and get back to the editor. So that's what we are going to look at now. We're going to look at making some sprites. And again, this, you've sort of already shown me amazingly what you've learned with the burgers. This is just something that you get to work on now yourself. But I thought the example would show you, first of all, sort of the size once you've made it. So obviously that looked quite large on my screen. But once we've made it into the game, it's a lot smaller by comparison. So again, that's where using this preview is really good. So for these sprites for this game, we're going to use an 8x8 canvas. So you are going to be more limited in your size. So instead of being the 16, you can see the size different there, actually, really obviously. We're going to stick with this smallest sort of 8x8. If you are thinking of joining the stream, I just see, so sorry. I thought you were getting encrypted in real time. Yeah, don't use caps in Figure 8. Again, it's because it wants to be able to run on such limited hardware, so you can stick it on a Raspberry Pi, or you can stick it on, a really old computer. Yeah, they've limited sort of the characters it can use. But like I said, for this game, for it to work, if you are going to join tomorrow, we need an 8x8. If you're just wanting to do the art, then by all means, go to a different size. But you need to think of a character for this sort of Flappy Bird style game. And if you're just here chilling and watching, we can design one together. So, thank you. It was my birthday yesterday, but thank you very much. And you're welcome for the stream. So those that are watching, if you just want to hang out, if you want to help me come up with an idea of what we could come up with, a new set. So I obviously did a jellyfish. Anybody got any ideas what we could do? So for a sort of Flappy Bird style game, like I just showed you. Ideas I had was a squid. That's quite a good one, because it's got to be something that we can shrink down, and it's got to be something that we can sort of show jumping in some way. I also thought frog would be quite a good idea. But yeah, pop in the comments. I can see that there are at least 10 of you watching across the various platforms. So come up with an idea and we will work on it together, or you can work on yours in the background, and I'll sort of go through different things we were thinking. So if you've got an idea, stick it in the chat. Want to make a meme next time. Should we go with trying to make this a frog then? I know you're seeing a frog meme, but should we go with trying to make a little frog? Now, the good thing about having a frog is that we have greens. No, we're not going to make that. We'll just make a nice, friendly frog. No other frogs. So the first thing I find when trying to design these is, it's again, as I talked about with donuts, it's easiest to start with a silhouette design. Okay. So I'm trying to think what sort of shape is a frog. They're kind of roughly, I feel like a triangle sort of shape, aren't they? They sort of, if you think of like the basic shapes, like a square or a circle, I feel like a triangle would be a good shape to show, wouldn't it? You're going to make it on Twitter. Oh, if you do, tag me at Huddlespit or at MLH and share what you're making with Global Hack Week. But yeah, I feel like a nice basic shape for a frog would be that sort of triangle, because they're sort of wider at their base with their legs and things. Because again, with working with sort of a limited canvas size and pixel art, you need to go for sort of basic recognizable shapes. So yeah, I'm starting with just a single color and just silhouettes. Okay. Now, one thing I am conscious of, because sort of when it when you jump. In fact, the first one needs to be a jump. So do you know what I'm going to do? Well, actually, I can go backwards, can't I? Yeah. So yeah, I want to start with the sort of base sprite, which is just the sort of sitting down. So I'm wanting to make sure I don't fill this full 8x8 because I want to have that space left to draw sort of the jumping version, the extended version. So that's something that I'm thinking about as I'm doing this, okay? So get back to my little line tool. So we want some little sort of froggy feet. Oops. But we need the space. Now, something, again, I'm noticing, because we're limited by pixel numbers and things like that, I'm wanting sort of a too wide foot because, again, I want to be able to show, you know, like an extended sort of leg later on when it jumps. So I'm thinking to myself, right, I have sort of a nice wide sort of cushioned foot. That's now not going to work that well because of the number of pixels, with this just being 8x8. Okay. So I might need to, make it sort of a bit wider. If we do it like that. Now, that's working better for the legs and the feet. I hope you will agree. And be free to sort of chat along, tell me what you're thinking in the chat. Give me any ideas, post anything you're working on. You don't have to work on a frog right now. I do feel like that's better for sort of the crouch legs and feet. But now this doesn't quite look the same shape that we had before because we've extended it. So I might just want to sort of build out the frog. Now, again, I don't want to go too tall because I want to be able to extend it. So it's all just sort of about looking at the proportions. Is that going to be too small? Is that going to be too big? So I might want to make all of these sort of one higher to make it even. I can add in some doubles and see if that's going to work a bit better. I think that's a much better shape, personally. I don't know what you think, folks. Let me know in the chat. And now we can think, do we want some sort of outline on this? If I was to just go in and do the outline on the inner sections, this is what we might get. Just adds a bit of dimension, doesn't it? Do you think that it looks more or less like a frog? I think this particular shape actually looks better without the outline, just as that single block colour, particularly when, again, I'm looking out and I'm looking at this sort of the preview section. When it's coloured in, we're actually not left with that much, because if you think the outline means that you're left with that inner shape, if we completely got rid of that outline, because we haven't got the space to go on the full outside, that doesn't really look like a frog anymore. Possibly if I was working in a larger canvas size, that might have worked. But since we aren't working with a larger canvas size on this one, I think this is going to look better without an outline. Well, I don't know what you think, folks. Let me know in the chat. You could have looked the same, and I think my jellyfish would have looked the same with or without the sort of the fill colour. But I think when I didn't have the fill colour, it kind of looked a bit more like a squid, whereas having that sort of translucence effect is kind of what I was thinking. Maybe that looked more like a jellyfish. But back to our frog. We could look at adding some little like eyes to the frog. But then I don't know if that makes it look more like a face with sort of ears and things. I'm pretty happy with this, our frog just looking like, oh, that's quite cute though, isn't it? This, again, you're working with a limited size. People aren't going to expect your full detail. But let me know what you think in the chat, if you think we should go with an outline, without an outline. Let me know what you think. Okay. I'm going to go back a step. And if you're working on this for the game, make sure that they're in these slots up here. But now we need to make a sort of a jumping version. Now, what I'm going to do is, to make this easier for myself for sort of referencing, I'm going to do what we did before and copy and stamp my work and sort of work by changing this piece of art. Again, it just sort of helps me know what it's going to look like in reference when things are changing. So, in fact, you know what I think would be useful? Moving this down a level. Because again, we want it to look like it's jumping. So I just use the arrow keys there to move the selection down. So instead of being up there, we've got it down here. This means that, oh, I moved the wrong one, didn't I? Oops. This means that, again, we can sort of show it jumping up more easily. So that's a good first step, I think. Adding the, even if all we did was extend the legs, we are sort of showing a jumping motion. But of course, we can do more than just that. Now, a good way, and this is used, got some designs going. Yeah, a common thing in animation, if you look at things like old Mickey Mouse drawings or The Simpsons in particular, a good way to show something jumping is to stretch it out. So even though in real life you wouldn't stretch out, a good way to show it in animations and things is to sort of stretch an image. So if we just say we move that line up, yeah, we're sort of getting that elongated, but also making something skinnier, because obviously that stretch has to come from somewhere. If you ever use like a Stretch Armstrong toy, they sort of can get skinnier. So what I'm going to have a look at is making this a bit skinnier. And then you've got sort of it jumping up. Now I think it would be better if I just replicated this sort of 2x2 that we were doing. So if you're thinking that the legs are the bottom, so we've got a 2, a 2, and a 1. We've now got, so we wanted the legs at the bottom and then a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 1. So this would be our jumping frog. What do we think, folks? Let me know in the chat what we're thinking with our jumping frog. So again, if you are, thank you, looks good. If you are wanting to make some sprites using the game tomorrow, you need your jumping one first, you need your sort of resting, falling version, and then we need a game over image sprite. So again, on this one, you could just pick one of the two that you've already got and recolor it. My first thought when I was making this yesterday was that you could just copy the sort of resting sprite. You can just paste it over with the stamp, and you can just simply recolor it to be sort of a game over color. With the jellyfish, again, you know, I sort of elongated the tentacles, thinking it's sort of game over, as we'll say. Yeah, I agree with these comments we're getting. It is sort of a tedious making something low res, and yet also really creative. Again, sort of your limitations, you've got to really think about everything you're using. So when I made this one, I sort of wanted like an in-between one. So if we're going to make an in-between of the frog, what we might want to do is still make it sort of taller. Oops, I need to use the arrow keys. Make it taller, but still keep it sort of wide. One thing that's important to know, if you've got a selection, you need to, and then you go to try to draw, it'll only draw within the selected area. So here I can't fill in the legs because I've got that selection. I need to just go back, just click once somewhere, that'll clear your selection. So again, this could sort of be our game over frog. We've sort of got that halfway sort of sprite that's sort of filling that screen. It's sort of wide, but it's also tall. And that's what that would look like, basically, folks. What time are we on? Let's have a little time check. 10:30. So yeah, there's not a lot to sprite. I hope sort of talking through what my thoughts were as I was designing have helped. But at this point, it's sort of over to you and you using the skills that we've outlined earlier in the stream, looking at your sort of your doubles and your jaggies. But yeah, in fact, you know what we can do? We can add, if I copy these sprites, we can replace my game art with them and see what our frog jumping game would look like in place of my jellyfish. Shall we do that, folks? But yeah, if you've created some sprites alongside this stream, stick them in the Discord for me and we can have a look. If we do this. So there we go. You can see now what it looks like. So having that sort of getting thinner, elongating it, along with it physically moving up the screen. I hope you agree. You know, we've used really simple shapes. We've just used one color. We've used really simple shapes. We've used just an 8x8 canvas. Hopefully you would agree. Obviously, I would need to change the colors of the background to be a more sort of frog-friendly place, but that this kind of does look like a frog. And if you're told, you know, if the game was Froggy Jump rather than Flappy Jump, Flappy Bird even, that this kind of gives the impression of a frog jumping. Yeah, the frog is stuck in the creek. Absolutely. But yeah, hopefully you can see how effective really just not a lot of pixels at all can be in making a game. And if either you're just not particularly artistic and creatively in mind, or you know you're new to game development and using something like Blender to make a 3D model is really intimidating, I feel like making a pixel art style game can be a really good place to start. I think part of it is it sort of gives you permission to not make the most amazing AAA game ever, because of the limitations of the technology and the limitations of pixel art sort of as a art style. Although, like I showed you before, you can also go absolutely wild and use some amazing techniques. Right, we've got quite a few comments coming in. People like Sprite, but you can't seem to build it at the minute. I also love Sprite, and I actually have Sprite in my tool. So this is another awesome tool, folks. You can get, this is the trial version. Trial version is free. The thing you can't do with the trial version is save anything. However, what you can do with the trial version is take screenshots. So if you are interested in giving this a go, Sprite is sort of a really sort of common, popular like piece of software. And this is just for making pixel art. Sprite doesn't have a game engine in it like Pico 8 does. But again, you don't need to pay for expensive tools. You can use the free version. The one thing you can't do is save your files, but you can screenshot them. That poor frog was stuck jumping in a creek forever. It was indeed. I'm glad you find this cool. So yeah, there are lots of resources and different things for you to explore out there. If you've done a sprite design, please do share it in the Discord. Let me just pop it over there so I can see it better. Why won't you let me zoom out Discord? There we go. But yeah, if you've made some sprite art whilst we've been going, please do share it in the the Discord. Oh yeah, you can also build a sprite from it's open source, so you can build it yourself if you are willing to put the time and effort in, or you can use the trial version. Nope, you can't save as a PNG, but if you screenshot it, you can make the PNG yourself. Is my little hack for that. But that is pretty much everything we were going to go over today, folks. We actually ended up going quite swiftly. Is that a pun on Swift, our founder? Who knows? Ba, 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 ba. So yeah, if you have created a sprite along with me today, or a burger or a donut, please stick it in the getting started with pixel art area. Where to post on Discord? Let me grab the Discord back up. So can you see? I'll zoom back in. Oh, I'm zooming in on the wrong tab, folks. So if you're in the MLH Discord and you've joined Global Hack Week, if you scroll down to the Global Hack Week channels, go to Games Week, you can then get to the Getting Started with Pixel Art thread, which you can like fully open, and you can share it here. We've got some cool pixel art from earlier. People made burgers. If you made any donuts alongside, if you've made sprites along with the game. If you have made sprites and you want to use them in a game tomorrow, make sure again that you go here and you just do save sprite, something like that, and then you'll have a file that we can reload tomorrow. But no worries if not, because that's another good thing about just making a basic 8x8. It's pretty quick to just draw another one. Can you tag me on Twitter? You can. I will pop my Smith on Twitter. So I shared to every single platform. So yeah, tag me, tag ML Hacks as well, I think is the MLH Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. Why can't I find just a regular tab? I'm not logged in on this browser. Can you not search Twitter if you're not logged in? Ridiculous. MLH.io. Where's the Twitter? I'm sure we are ML Hacks. I should know that. Yes, we are. Tag ML Hacks. Tag at Huddlesmith. I cannot speak today. But that's me on Twitter, and then tag ML Hacks. And you never know, it might get shared. Have we got any other? But yeah, feel free to just stick it in the Discord as well if you either don't have Twitter or don't want to use it. Last few things from me. Please log in and register and check in to this event so that MLH knows that you've been. The other thing is, if you enjoyed this and fancy making a game with your sprites, if you go to ghw.mlh.io, this is the wonderful Global Hack Week page. If you go to the schedule and go to day 3, so you're on the Global Hack Week page, go to the schedule. Go to the schedule, she says. And it doesn't want to work. Go to day 3 and you can find building a game on Pico 8, on the Pico 8 Fantasy Console. This is tomorrow's live stream where you will be making this game along with me. So using some sprites to make a Flappy Bird clone style game. So make sure you do that. The other thing, if you head to this link, can I copy the link? Yes, I can. I've just put together some resources I use. Obviously, you know, you're all amazing at like the internet and things because you're a hacker at MLH. But if you go to that link, I've just made some sort of resources. It's obviously not extensive, but they're the ones that I think are really good channel. So Soul Tunes, that's the guy I was mentioning earlier, who I took the idea for. Where are my slides gone? So it's this guy. He does really cool content. He also has a Twitch where he streams game development in a different thing, not Pico 8, but he's making a pixel art platformer. Sort of the likes of Jump King, if you've ever played that. So he's a really cool guy. And then also James Greer is another really interesting channel. All that art I showed you earlier, I found sort of inspiration art on this site. So yeah, amazing work there. The link to Pico 8 if you want it. If you're wanting sort of something that's just for making pixel art, this is a really good free browser-based one. It's open source. They've got offline versions. But yeah, it's free and browser-based, but it's got a few more tools that you can use if you're wanting to explore more. Got dithering, different tools, selections, all sorts of things. So that's a really good tool called Piskel. And like people were mentioning earlier, Sprite. It can be free if you want to use the trial version, but yeah. If you just want to download just this regular made build, it's not free, but I think it is probably going to be worth it. And so yeah, Sprite is used by a lot of people. It's got a lot more features. So you can buy it or you can build it yourself. But yeah, if you've got any, Jump King is the definition of frustration. Yes, it is. In fact, but yeah, it's a great game. So yeah, Saltoons is making a game like that. So definitely check him out. Yeah, indie dev streams are cool. And I think my general thing with this is just explore, like have fun with it. Join in the other streams that we've got coming up for Global Hack Week. And share what you're making. We really truly want to see what you are making. So share them in the Discord, share them on Twitter, tag me, tag ML Hacks. Where have my slides gone? There they are. Keep sharing your smart on Discord. You can go to that bit.ly link to find that Google Docs document. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy this. If you've got any questions, I can hang around for another few minutes. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing day and you've enjoyed the stream. But yeah, any other questions? Yeah, Flappy Bird also frustrating. I think it's possible to make Wordle in Pico 8. I absolutely think you could make Wordle in Pico 8. If you are interested in Pico 8 specifically, obviously their website has loads. We'll just go to it now. Oh, not the educational version. Hold on. Yeah, it's just Pico-8. But they've got all sorts. All sorts. So yeah, this is a good actually GIF of how the tool works. But I bet someone's made a Wordle type game. There you go. Somebody has made a Pico 8. Several people have made a Wordle. So yeah, it's a really cool tool. I would definitely recommend you look it out. You can use it for free if you use the education version, or if you want a local version of it, you can get the license for it as well. But yeah, it's a really interesting, and there's loads of resources. There's a good community behind it. So they've got a user manual, they've got a full game development document, cheat sheets, a wiki, all that good stuff. So yeah, if this is something you're interested in, definitely give it a look. Definitely give it an explore. And if you've got any questions, hit me up in the Discord as well. But yeah, keep sharing your art in the Discord. And let me know, what you thought. Make sure you register and check in. Remember, if you register and check in to, I think it's 5 of the live events over this week, you get an exclusive hex sticker, and I think you get an exclusive character sticker as well with Vic's awesome artwork. So yeah, if you've got any more questions, I can still hang out for a bit. But other than that, you are free to go. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope you join me for tomorrow's game making. How to share it on Discord? You can. Where is Discord? So once you are in the Discord, get to the Global Hack Week channels. If you go to the Games Week channel in the Global Hack Week section, there will be currently the most recent message is me creating the getting started with pixel art thread. And then if you get into that, then you can just put an image in the messages. Are points calculated based on Discord posts? I don't believe so. I think the way that your points are calculated are by you checking into events. So not just registering, but once the events go live within a certain time period, you can check in for them. And then also, if we get back to globalhackweek.mlh.io, where challenges, if you go through the challenges, not that one though. There is, oh yeah, there's a dev post page for it, so you can get them that way. But I think there's a form. Let me find. Oh, there we go. There's a pixel art challenge, folks. So if you create a pixel art today, absolutely do that. So yeah, hackpack/daily form. So hackp.ac/daily form. And then you can submit what you have created. So yeah, there you go. You made pixel art today. So go and grab your points. And also the very, very important thing, make sure that we have your address. It is one of the challenges anyway, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But you need to fill in the address form. You don't need to do it once per season. Or if your address changes. But if you don't send us your address, we can't send you any swag. So make sure that you're doing that as well. And yeah, Global Hack Week challenges, you can pop in. But everything you need is at globalhackweek.mlh.io. All the acronyms. Everything you need is here. Oh, there. Look at Will and their glorious face. And actually, again, you can check out your previous sessions, so they'll be on YouTube. So if you want to watch this back, pick up any tips, you can do so. Also, we have someone's already completed the challenge. Hype for you. But yeah, I hope that you've all enjoyed the stream. Hope you've learned something. Remember to tag us if you share anything on Twitter. And yeah, hopefully you'll all turn up to the stream tomorrow and we'll make some cool Flappy Bird clones. But yeah, I'll hang around for a few more minutes and then otherwise, that is us done for today. If you've got any other questions, either about pixel art or about MLH Global Hack Week in general, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day or evening, whatever time zone you're joining from. And get yourself some awesome stickers. Thank you for dealing with pixels for this long. You are welcome. I love it. I think it's so interesting. It's such an interesting medium to use because of the restrictions. And traditional art has never seemed to sort of be my thing. I think I just get overwhelmed at like the possibilities of sort of traditional art or even just traditional like digital art. So yeah, I like. Thank you. Have a good day to you as well. Well, if you just change your thingy to the pixel art you just created, that's epic. Profile picture. That's what I was trying to say. I agree. I wouldn't want to live in a metaverse that was pixelated. Although technically everything's pixelated, just a whole bunch of pixels. You know, 2040, 1080p. It's 1080 pixels, folks, isn't it? Yeah, it would be so fat. But yes, I hope you all have a good day. Make sure you enter that challenge. Make sure you share your art on Discord. And have a good rest of your day, folks. This is going to be me signing off. Hope you all had a good time. Thank you for joining me. Register and check in for today's stream. Join me tomorrow. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Global Hack Week games. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.